Guide me among those whom thou hast guided aright, and preserve me among those whom thou hast preserved, and befriend me among those whom thou hast befriended. Bless me in whatsoever thou dost grant me, and deliver me from the evil of what thou hast judged. Surely thou judgest, and none can judge against thee, and he whom thou befriendest is not disgraced. Blessed art thou, O Lord, and exalted be thee above what they set up besides thee. I bear witness, nothing deserves to be served besides thee, and I bear witness that Muhammad is thy servant and apostle. Amen.
Greetings, family, and assalamu alaikum. Peace be unto you. We are Black by popular demand. Some of y'all don't know that, but that was a saying that was really popular when I was in college. We would say something was Black by popular demand. So I'm saying that we're Black by popular demand because the last few Thursdays we've taken off because I was traveling. I had some conferences and speaking engagements. And so now we are back ramping up for our event on September 3rd. But before we get to the event on September 3rd, I just wanted to tell you all about our commemorative Elijah coins. Many of you know about them. I was able to scrounge up, I have a piece of hair that's like driving me crazy. I was able to scrounge up like another 20, but they're going fast because I had some loose coins that we had not yet graded. And so I got the foundry to put them in the casing like this. Not this thing, this. And so my sister Sheba Muhammad is sponsoring and gave us some free chains to give to you. So I'm going to show you that video, tell you a little all about it, and I'll come back in a couple minutes. So come on in. Make sure you're thinking about your questions. I thought we would ease back into the series on manifestation by talking about whatever your questions are. And then I have a quick video I'm going to show you. So I'll be right back.
Greetings, supporters. Our new sponsor, Sister Sheba Muhammad, through her jewelry company, is giving you a free sterling silver chain when you purchase your commemorative Elijah coin pendant. The link is in the bio.
That's a little short video just about the chain. The link is there in the bio. There is not that many left, honestly, this time, because I don't have any more loose coins to give her to convert into pendants. So look, before y'all see them on somebody famous and then y'all be scrounging around for them, I suggest that you get them now. Get them this week because they're going to be going fast. The next thing, September 3rd, is a 24 karat donate and simp fundraiser and celebration. So we call it 24 karat because we've got this 24 karat gold champagne that's halal certified, non-alcoholic. So no alcohol, no getting tipsy. And so, but it's just a really nice, cool thing. It's got some gold flakes in it and beautiful bottle. And so we're going to be doing some pours of that with our sponsor, Magnolia Crescent Winery and Magnolia Crescent Farms and Non-Alcoholic Winery. So I'm really excited about that. I'm also celebrating my birthday. So I figure you guys will either come for the fundraising or come for the birthday or come for both. And let's just celebrate. And I am celebrating myself and celebrating my life and celebrating my mom and my father and just, being grateful. So it's really a gratitude celebration and fundraising event. So I hope you all can come out to that. I got a little video for you. Check it out.
Peace and blessings, family. I wanted to personally invite you to join me on September 3rd, 2022 at the Honorable Elijah Muhammad House from 3 to 7 p.m. We're going to be doing a fundraiser for the completion of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad House and enjoying these last few weeks of our warm weather. And guess what? It's my birthday. So come on out, scan here to RSVP.
All right, y'all. So if you in the Black Muslim Business Directory, if you're not, just come on out. Come out, have fun. We're going to be at 4847 South Woodlawn Avenue in Chicago in the historic Kenwood District. And this tonight, for those of you who are just chiming in, see y'all coming in a little late. We ain't been in class in a minute. We're going to have a Q&A on manifestation just to review some of what we've learned over the last couple of weeks. And but before we do, I have a video I want to play for you all because something that I see, I end up working with you all. We end up coaching and having these sessions, and then you go radio silent. Because oftentimes we give up. We say, oh, I got busy. We find an excuse. I got busy, or this happened or that happened. And let me tell you something. Most of the time when you give up, it's usually right before that breakthrough, right before that next level. So you just can't give up. And so I want to share this video with you on never giving up. Okay. Let's see what we got here.
You can experience enough pain in life. You can experience enough disappointment in life that he can clobber you to the ground and kick dirt in your face, and you believe you can't do it. You believe that this is it for you. No, it's not.
So many people out there fail not because they don't have the ability. It's because they don't have the heart to go through adversity.
The question is, can you manage your conflict and still seize your destiny? Because if you're waiting for it to end, you will never get anywhere.
But most people spend their life not wanting to deal with the pain of rejection, the pain of defeat, the pain of being disappointed, the pain of losing, the pain of failure, the pain of being criticized, the pain of not being liked, the pain. That's called life. Life is full of pain. There's no gain without pain. Now, if you're going to hurt anyhow, get some yardage out of it.
Get something from it. You're already in pain. Use it. Do something with it. Allow it to take you to the next level. Allow your pain to push you to greatness.
You're going to have people to do things to you. Things are going to happen to you. And you've got to clear your mind of all the unnecessary luggage and baggage that's weighing us down and let it go.
Your life depends on it. Your future depends on it. Your destiny depends on it. Your miracle depends on it. Everything depends on your ability to let it go. If you hold on to stuff, you choke. If you release stuff, you can keep breathing. Life is going to hand you something every day. Take in what you can get out of it. Let go of what you can't get out of it. But don't let anybody hurt you so bad that you choke.
Life gonna whip your butt. Life is gonna bully you. Stop whining. Stop crying. Nobody cares. Be demanding. Let it hit you, but don't let it punk you.
This is not an opposition. This is an opportunity.
I don't care if you've been beaten to the floor, if your legs are too tired to lift that weight. Break through that barrier and create new ones for you and for others to show off. Get back up and live life.
Whoever stays down is a loser, and winners who fail and get up. Fail and get up. You always get up. That is a winner.
It's a guy that's willing to get knocked down, finally tells someone fortune, stand back up, the perseverance to see it through, the never say die attitude. But if I don't win, I showed up, I gave my valid effort. And tomorrow I'll do the same thing. And I'll continue to throw shit against the wall.
Every time I get knocked down, I will get back up and I will succeed. I will not surrender.
The moments that take your breath away are the ones that count. You need the downs to make the ups. You need the ups to create the downs. You need to feel the opposites to truly understand the full reality of the life you are living. You can dream of these things, but understand you can also achieve them.
You got to make it happen, or it's not gonna happen. You got to get up off your hind parts and bust a move, or nothing is gonna happen in your life.
I think it's interesting that these motivational videos have a lot of athletes in them, people pushing past pain, pushing to that next level, pushing, never giving up. And I think that that's a really great metaphor for life. You know, just not giving up. And I wanted to have this Q&A session on manifestation because something that I notice is that we get motivated, we get excited, we're moving forward, and then something happens and just lulls us back to sleep. And sometimes we don't even know. And that's why I call it lull us back to sleep, because we don't even know that we've literally gone back to sleep. We dip right back into our routine. We run back to the side and go, ooh, let me go somewhere and be safe. Let me jump over here and go be safe. We run to whatever comfort we have. A lot of it has to do with not having a diversity of people around us to give us certain types of advice. What do I mean by that? Oftentimes when a person loves you and they're afraid for you, or they don't want to lose you, or they don't want you to get hurt, they don't necessarily give you their full blessings. They give you their blessings, but it's like, okay, go ahead, but, and then they start having conversations with you about being safe, being careful, and which are good conversations, don't get me wrong. It's good prayer, good advice to say to somebody, be careful, be safe. But what they really mean is don't do too much. Don't go so far. Don't do so much to where you get yourself hurt. And so sometimes that space, that energy, that kind of talk, or that kind of self-talk messes us up. And then next thing you know, we had these big dreams and these big goals that were way up here. And then all of a sudden you see us and we ain't hardly doing what we said we was going to do. Or we really just kind of stopped striving. Or we look up and 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, 3 years, 5 years, 6 years have gone by and we haven't moved off of that original point. And so that's why these classes on manifestation are so important. And I love doing them because, you know, a reminder is a blessing. A reminder is a mercy. And so the idea is to continue. See, we have to create new grooves in our brain with new forms of thought, new ways of thinking, so that when we get worried, when we get tired, when we get upset, we go back to that thought, not back to the old stuff, And then next thing you know, we find ourselves plummeting. Have you ever revisited a story or had a conversation with somebody that made you feel like you literally were starting over mentally? That kind of stuff is dangerous, because what you want is you want to keep going. You want to keep putting one foot in front of another. One thing about me is that I'm a very consistent person. I'm very routine. I can be very, very consistent. So when I say to people, somebody asked me today, I was talking to a couple of people about some shows that I'm working on. And they said, how much content do you have? And I said, what do you mean? They said, because most people we talk to, they don't really have any content. I said, I got content back to 2009. And they just looked at me and I said, yeah. I said, content back to 2009 that I wrote every week and put out and broadcast, whether it was on my Blog Talk Radio or syndicated radio or here on YouTube or on Instagram. But I've got content, not content because somebody paid me to put content out. Content because I wanted to put content out. Content because I wanted to build something. Content because I had something that I wanted to share. And so I challenge all of us to take a look at the things that we do that we're consistent about, the things that we do that are easy for us, the things that we've done in the past that maybe we let go of because we just kind of got off onto something else. Ask yourself, what does that mean? And I said to the person who asked me that question, I said, consistency is one of my superpowers. I'm going to keep at it. That's who I am. And, we morphed off into a conversation which ties me to one of you all's questions or comments. Somebody sent me a question and they said, how do you deal with opposition? How do you deal with feeling as if every time you do something, there are so many people who oppose you that you either end up giving up or you do something else, but you give up ultimately. I kind of paraphrase their question here. And I said, you know what, I can speak on that, because one of the things that I've learned in life is that it's just a weird way life works. When you're always pushing the envelope, when you're always doing something that maybe somebody else hasn't done, when Allah is dealing with you and you're one of those persons where he is always giving you something big, you will find that people will fall off. There'll be people that really don't want to be bothered with you. There'll be people who come in and out. They pop in to keep score and then they pop out. Here's the key thing. The key thing is to make sure that you don't define yourself by the hate that's in other people. People will attack you because you're cute. People will attack you because your feet are smaller than theirs. People will attack you for whatever reason. They'll attack you because of your hair. And they will literally go out and put together massive campaigns. But you have to first know that there is no God but Allah. You have to secondly have faith in yourself. And you have to most importantly know that you cannot define yourself by how they see you. And so I have this thing where not only do I make sure I constantly remind myself and talk to myself about there being no God but Allah, and that he's the creator, he's in charge, and that I don't need, I say this because I really want you all to get this. You and I don't need anybody's permission to do what God tells us to do. So if God put certain talents inside of you, If he made you a certain type of person, you don't have to ask nobody about that. Because that's what God said, okay, this is how I want to express myself. Just like this. And so it's okay. And if they don't like you, there'll be some people who like you. I'm sorry, you guys, I've been talking literally since 10 a.m. Excuse me, literally. And so my voice is going away. So we'll see if I can make it through the show. But yeah, since 10 a.m. But it's okay. I'll rest it later, rest it tomorrow. At the end of the day, though, to this person who sent this question, remember, there is no God but Allah. Don't define yourself by these other people. And you have to keep going. There may be times when you feel like nobody believes in you. You may feel like, oh my God, how can I move on? I'm alone. Just keep going. Because if God put this in your heart to do, if God said to you, build that business, if God said to you, move forward in this manner, and you know that that's what he did for you, and those are the instructions that he had for you, you're going to be all right. Just keep going. Just keep going. Don't give up. And don't be lulled back to sleep by people who sometimes really just want you to be safe. They want you to be successful. They're looking forward to it. They're happy for you, but they're like, but be careful, So you always want to take into account certain types of advice, and you want to pay attention, especially when you're dealing with people who are wise and can really help you. But you also want to make sure that you understand how to incorporate that into your mission and what it is that you're supposed to do. And the beautiful thing is, if you can find someone in your life who is advising you as you're moving, right? So it's like you're on a moving train and you pull up to them and they're moving too, and they're advising you as you're moving. To me, that's the beautiful thing. So look for those kind of people. Look for those kind of people who will say, come on, I'm going to help you. Let's keep moving. Not people who are going to say, stop. Don't do it. Don't move forward. Don't open a business. But keep going. You're going to make mistakes. I'm sorry, you guys. You're going to make mistakes. You're going to fall down. There are going to be times where it's not going to work. You just got to keep going. Just keep going. Okay, let's see. Who else has questions? Let me go back to my notes. I started this morning talking. I had, let's see, 3 interviews. And then I had 1, 2, 3, 3.5 Zooms. So I've been in a Zoomiverse all day. Okay. Somebody asked me another question. So this person said that they were, excuse me, working with something. They were negotiating. I'm trying to read this without giving too much details because I don't give people's business. They're working on something. They thought it was going good, and then all of a sudden the negotiations stopped, and they weren't able to follow up with the person or connect with the person. They're saying, and they're just really trying to understand what that means. Okay. And I would say to you, this is how I do business. I think there's a fine line between sales and selling yourself and pushing yourself and maybe going where you're not wanted. And so if this person or somebody you're working with just kind of went on and then all of a sudden they went radio silent on you, and if this is a potential vendor or a potential business partner, I think you have to ask yourself, is this the type of business partner or vendor that you want to work with? Do you want to work with somebody who, as you guys are working along and doing and building and developing something, that they just go radio silent? Because even if you have a problem, if that's your business partner or your vendor or your customer, you owe them an explanation. You should be saying, okay, hey, such and such happened in the business. I lost my manager, whatever. You can post the questions right here, sis. Whatever happened, it could be something very real. Look, I lost half my staff during the pandemic or whatever, but make sure you're in communication with that person that's your customer, your business partner, or your vendor. And so to this business person that asked me this question, I would say, I think it's worth it to follow up, but I really wouldn't trip too hard, because I don't know that I really want to be in business with someone who just kind of drops off the face of the planet. In this case, this person said that this is the second time that they've been in negotiations with this person, and the person just drops off. You know, you got to look at it like a relationship, right? If you're in a relationship with someone, you know, let's say you're dating a guy or a guy's dating a girl, and then there are just times where they just go radio silent. They don't talk to you. You don't hear from them for a week or so. Is it worth it for you to pursue that person even though you feel that way? Certainly you can say to them, hey, I'm not so sure about your communication skills. I got an issue with your communication skills. But do you really want to be in a relationship with that person who just goes radio silent and just decides that they don't want to communicate, and there are big things going on, like a deal being on the table, right? So in this particular case, with this particular partner that you have, business partner that you have, if they're not communicating, they're going radio silent, they're coming in and out of the negotiations, I would suggest to you that you fall back some. Even if you feel like you really need this relationship in your business, you might not need it the way you think you need it, because what you probably are getting is what they're telling you that they're going to give you, which is half-baked results, little or no communication, and then you're going to end up wondering or maybe holding the bag. And that kind of stuff costs money. So I would say, you know, don't be so thirsty. Just fall back. And again, look for a plan B. You know, make sure that, you know, your strategic plan or your kind of the plan that you're outlining for this particular deal. Maybe you have another vendor that's a plan B. Maybe you have another thing you can do. Maybe you can just fall back. That's what I would do. I would not pursue it excessively hard, especially if I know that I'm going to be in a position where it may actually cost me money or opportunity or my reputation if this person is just kind of dropping off the face of the planet. When I do business with people, I try to err on the side of over communicating. Some people will get irritated, and the modes of communication I'm very careful about. So I try to make sure that there's as many verbal conversations as I possibly can have. And then I use maybe email as a summary. I'll say something like, you know, to follow up, as a follow-up to our previous conversation, blah, 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 blah. And if I texting is supplemental. So you want to be careful with that. Be careful even when you hire people, because I've hired people before, and oftentimes I can't reach somebody, or just because I may not have time, I might be really busy, or I may actually send out a text message because I might be on a Zoom like this and I decide I needed to communicate something to my assistant. make sure that they understand that that don't mean that they should just be texting people. So if you say, hey, reach out to our top vendor and let them know that we have this event coming up, you don't want your assistant texting them. You know, even if you're just that cool, let them know that you want a touch point where they pick up the phone. And even if they're leaving a voicemail, sometimes you can say, hey, sending you a quick text, tried to call you a couple of times, but you want to be careful with that too, because the thing about texting is that texting doesn't always convey emotion. So you can't really tell how that person is really feeling. You can't hear hesitancy in their voice. You can't hear doubt in their voice. You know, you just may not be sure. They may not even be sure that they want to commit to a certain date or a certain time. You'll hear that if you're having a conversation, and you may not be able to hear that when you text. And so when you get that sort of half-baked performance, or maybe a no-show or a late show, had you been having those verbal conversations, you could have actually possibly picked up on that and maybe asked some secondary and tertiary questions. Okay. So Sister Anissa says, should I partner with someone that can provide a service, but that can that can benefit my business, but doesn't embrace the vision, mission of my organization? Well, remember how we function as conscious entrepreneurs. And I don't know the details, so I'm going to give you a general answer, because I don't know what your vision is, and I don't know what service that person provides, and I don't know if the service that they are providing you is a violation of your mission, or is it just that it just doesn't embrace it? I don't really know what that means in terms of materiality or severity. But I will say this, as conscious entrepreneurs, of course, we want to make money. We want to have net income that is positive. We make no excuses about making money. We don't apologize to anybody about making money, because money does what? It gives us options. It gives us choices. It allows us to support family and friends and causes that are important to us. So we don't worship money. Money is a tool that we use on our journey to liberation. So, so that's the first thing. But the second thing is that you also have another stakeholder, which sounds like you do, which is a vision or a mission. I'm at a point in my spiritual relationship with my business where I don't compromise my vision and my mission for things that are contrary to it. I will say that there has been a time in business where I've had to do that. So here's an example. If I'm focused on doing for self, if I'm focused on being conscious and being able to do things that align with my spirit and my goals, then there have been times where I've worked jobs where I didn't like the people there. I didn't like how they did business. I didn't like how they handled things. I didn't like who they were. And so in a sense, that was a violation, or it was a little off-putting to my mission. But I took that job, or I took that project because I felt like I needed it. Would I have taken something that was way off, a real severe violation, a very material violation? I probably would not have. But today I'm a lot more sensitive to that, just because I've had a lot of years of practicing and fine-tuning myself to that. So you have to decide, because here's the thing. Everything you do has a consciousness attached to it. So if you do business with this particular partner or this vendor, there's a consciousness attached to it. And depending on how it impacts your brand, It may mess up your brand by having you associated with that person or that partner. Or maybe it really won't. Maybe it's a purely viable partner or brand connection, but it's just something deep down inside that you know isn't right. But again, you got to answer, how material is that gap? How important is that gap? Because for a lot of us, you know, you working out in the world, you may not be able to get that perfect marriage depending on where you are in your business. You may not be able to make those choices, but you really have to make a decision. How material is that gap? If that gap is a violation of who you are, if you are a Muslim and you're partnering with somebody that sells pork, I would say that's a material gap. Okay. If you are a Muslim and you say, well, you know, I don't sell shrimp, but you're partnering with somebody who is a shrimp manufacturer and that's what they sell, then I would say that that's a material gap. Those are the kind of things that I'm talking about. If it's a situation where you say, look, principally, I'm not going to deliver goods and services between 8 a.m. and noon. I only deliver between noon and 5, but you're partnering with somebody that delivers between 8 a.m. and noon. That may not be material enough for you to walk away from the deal. Okay. So always remember that you can be very creative. And I always say to us as Muslims in business and as members of the Black Muslim Business Directory that there is a lot that you can do. And I know that there are some people who see being a Muslim and in business as being a very restrictive process. I don't see it like that at all. I see it where the more creative we are, there's more that we can do. There's so much that we can do. And we just have to get creative. We just have to think, and we have to get up out of the box so that we can think out of the box. We have to just focus our mind on what it is that we can do, because there's a lot that we can do. So many of us have so many talents and so many skills that we can be consultants in just about 6 or 7 different fields of endeavor because we're just that talented. And so it's just a matter of us, you know, being creative. So please don't think that doing for self is a very restrictive way of doing business, because it actually is not. Yes, there are rules. There are things that would violate your principle. And as a conscious entrepreneur, I gave you 2 examples that those are things that would violate. But at the end of the day, there's a lot that you can do. We have a whole world that is open to us, and we just have to be creative. We have to be focused. We have to be principled, because at the end of the day, think of it like this. If the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said to us, get up and do for self, then that means that we can get up and do for self. And that means that if we follow his instructions, he's going to help us. He's going to be there for us. He's not going to say, look, you know, do this thing, but it's all hard and you're going to live a life of subtraction and there's so much that you can't do. That's just not how I see the messenger or Allah or the minister. I don't see them that way. I don't see them when I hear their word, or I get a word, you know, from the minister or whatever, or I get inspiration from Allah or the messenger. I don't see it as a restrictive inspiration. I see it as a positive inspiration that's really pointing me in the right direction and saying to me, look, sweetheart, go this way. And if you go this way, the whole world opens up to you. That's how I see it. I don't look at it like, I really want to go this way, and then you telling me not to go this way, so I'm going to go anyway. But this is a life of subtraction. It's a life of restriction, and there's stuff I can't do. I don't operate from that energy space. So if the minister says to me, look, daughter, turn this way and go this way, or if I feel some inspiration or I'm reading some text, whatever, and it says go this way, then what I see that as is Allah pointing me into a much more fertile and beautiful situation and a direction. So that's just kind of how I see it. I don't see anything that they say to us or offer to us as a way of restriction. I just don't, that's just not the way I see it. Okay. Any other questions? Type in your questions on manifestation on your businesses. Thank you, Sister Anissa. Let me know in the chat if I answered your question or if you'd like to give me some more detail and I can share some more of my thoughts on your questions. On your question, I'm happy to do that. Let's see who we got in here. Sandra D. Wa alaikum salam, Sister Sandra. Sister Alita, wa alaikum salam. Sister Alicia, wa alaikum salam. Wa alaikum salam, wa alaikum salam. Wait, okay, thank you all. So yeah, Sister Anissa, you can put more detail in there if you want me to share more. But I just really want to expound a little bit more on, don't think of your Islam or your Christianity as being a restrictive life. Yes, we have restrictive laws. Yes, we have 10 commandments. But these are guideposts. That's how I look at them. They're guideposts that tell me what direction I should be going in. It's how I look at even emotions. I say, okay, this is the direction I should be going in. Allah said, don't go that way. That's fine. I'm not trying to go that way. If he said don't go that way, that's fine. Because I know he loves me. And I know that he's only going to point me in the right direction. Sandra said, great show on Wednesday because I feel like the brother who was in the belly of the beast running away. And oh, yes, thank you. Then Sister Anissa says, thank you for your love and guidance. Yes, you answered in part. I prefer sharing more via email. Okay, that's fine. That's no problem. And again, remember, if you don't want to share your question here, I can try to answer it. Or if you just want to give it to me in principle, I can try to answer it as well. But one of the biggest questions that I'm getting a lot from a lot of us as Muslims is it okay to do this? Is it okay to do that? And I was very fortunate in my early career in business and as a young Muslim to learn how to infuse my belief system into how I moved. That became very, very important because I learned how to, whether I was writing policies and procedures, just kind of weaving in certain principles that I believe were high level principles and an elevated way of thinking and handling and doing things. And so I try my best to function on that level. And so there were a lot of questions in the DM when we talked about manifestation on like jealousy and haters. And I didn't even write all of those down. I popped out those two, but just in general, this whole thing about haters and jealousy. Listen, y'all, don't worship your haters. Do you know that literally sometimes we make gods out of our haters? We make gods out of our naysayers. And we really become like polytheists because we're so obsessed with that person that we think opposes us or that person that we're competing against or whatever. We are so obsessed with that we literally bring more and more and more of that into our lives. And at the end of the day, you can agree to disagree with someone. And that person doesn't have to be your enemy. A person can just decide they got the right to say, you know what, I don't like you. And that's okay too. But, you know, Don't allow all of that to become a God and occupy all this space in your mind. Be very careful with that, because I know that it's very popular. It's so popular now out here in pop culture to be like, oh, my haters. And I hear people say, you know what, as soon as somebody tell me that I can't do it, then that's when I really go to town. And then that can be a good motivation, but it also can be bad, because you should be self-motivated. Really. So I'm not going to even get all off into the whole thing about haters and naysayers and all of that. I'm just going to say to you that there is no God but Allah. So don't make a God out of that person that hates you. Every time you open your mouth, you don't need to be talking about them. Every time you open your eyes in the morning, you don't need to be thinking about them. You need to be thinking and being grateful and be in that space of gratitude. And you need to be focused on the direction that God is guiding you in. Because sometimes the only reason why those people are relevant is because God is already trying to point you in another direction, but you just keep going. See, everybody has their role, their talents, their gifts. And let me tell you something. What's for you is for you. What's for me is for me. And there really ain't nothing neither one of us can do about it. So you can drive yourself crazy worrying about what God has for me. And I can drive myself crazy worrying about what God has for you. But at the end of the day, it's nothing you can do about it. Even if I was studying this the other day and I said, you could get mad at somebody. You could say, you know what? I don't like Sister Sajda because she was given a certain gift. But what you don't realize is that you ain't got nothing to do with that gift, and neither does Sister Sajda. Your problem is really with Allah. So if you don't like me because of something I have, and I don't like you because of something you have, ain't neither one of us got nothing to do with it. Think about that. Okay, Sister Sandra said, when you have a brand and it's taking 1 year or more for trademarking, but you want to get it out there, should I put the brand out there anyway while waiting for the trademark? Yeah, because a lot of times they want to see you using the trademark in commerce. And so what you want to do is just put that parentheses TM after the phrase or the word or whatever it is that you're trademarking. Put that. Once it becomes a registered trademark, then you put the R with the circle around it. And you just do that by putting the parentheses in the R. And then usually if you're using Microsoft Word, it'll convert it. But yeah, a lot of times they will ask you for a specimen of you using that brand in commerce. And oftentimes that's where you get challenges, is when you're not really using the brand in commerce. Because a lot of times, unless they just want to bully you off of your position, but this is a beautiful thing about being Black and being a Muslim, because if you're using something, then if you've used it enough in commerce, especially now with the internet, most people don't want to go up against that because they don't really want to be associated with you. They know that most of us as Muslims, we're shadow banned on social media. They know that. So they don't want to be messing with us. Certain hashtags that we use over and over again, they block and they have a problem with. So use it in commerce. Make sure you're using it. If you're not doing anything but, signing your name and putting that little TM, but I would go ahead and use it. Unless you created something and you're challenging somebody else. So let's say you're trying to use something, but I'm already using it in commerce and you're challenging me, then you probably should not use it anyway. But in most cases, if you did a trademark search, you don't really see anybody else using it in the manner that you're using it, you should go ahead and use it and begin to brand yourself to do that. All right, family. Any other questions? What we talk about? Trademarking. We had some of that. We had some branding comments. Branding is very important today. I think branding has always been important, but what's happening now is that you have people with their individual brands. And I see a lot of people now who don't even know what their individual brands are. And because they don't know their individual brand, they are feeling restricted. But there again, at the end of the day, know your individual brand. Sis says, okay, I've been stuck on that. Good strategy. Yes, ma'am. Okay. All right, family. Praise be to Allah. Let me know in the chat if you're already registered for September 3rd to come up for the event at Sajda House, 4847 South Woodlawn Avenue. We hope you all can make it. It's nice, sober sophistication, a little upscale fun. Have a good time. This is the type of thing, because here's the deal. Some of us only know how to socialize if there's certain elements involved, right? So popular culture is like, fun is associated with getting drunk or getting high or acting a certain way out in public. Okay. But what I would like to do more of in our circles is coming together and gathering together with like-minded people in a professional manner, and even networking, exchanging cards. I'd like for it to be where the circle of people that come to my events and that come to my events, that when you come, you know, like, okay, this is a certain type of person. I can get that person's card and I can exchange business cards with them, and we can explore and do business, because that's one of the hardest things out now. It was hard back in the day, because back in the day when they would have like all these different conferences and stuff, and you'd go there and you'd collect all these cards and nobody would ever follow up. But then you just never got in the room with the people in order to be able to put those deals together. Well, what's happening now is that people can connect with you a lot easier. You can meet people on social media. You can go to an event. You can exchange big business cards with a billionaire or even a millionaire. But you just never know who's who. You never know what other principles they deploy in order to get their business done. You never know what they're doing behind the scenes or how they roll. And so it becomes very difficult nowadays to determine whether or not you should even do business with a person, because it's almost like going to bed with them, because you just don't know anymore. And so I think what we have to do is find safe environments for people to come and to meet people that they can potentially do business with. And no matter what environment you meet people in, you should still do your due diligence. But I just think it's important to kind of remove some of those layers and bring people together for causes that are important to all of us. And this is just a way of elevating our method of socializing, right? And that's what's important. And so for me, when I get an opportunity to go to an event where I know that there are sincere minded people, and I know that people got good hearts, and for the most part, especially if I like the host, then I try to go and patronize and do business. And I'm just a supporter of other people and anything Black anyway. If you know me and you're having something, if I'm in a group or organization with you, or you go through something or something's going down, I always try my best to be there and to be supportive, because at the end of the day, I always say, you know, Allah drops everything He's doing for me. If there's anything that I can do for somebody else, then I will do my best to try to be found doing it. So I want to expand that over into our social circles, so that we're beginning these Black Muslim business think tanks and, you know, mindset strategy, you know, making events And we can really start building some real good business together by coming together and talking. And it doesn't necessarily take a lot of us. And I'll say this one last thing before I go. You know, when social media first got popular, everybody was trying to get as many likes as possible. People wanted 100,000, 500,000, 1 million likes. And then after we learned that we could monetize off of social media, a lot of people stopped caring as much about the numbers as they did what's the behavior and the interaction levels of the people that are there. So do I have 2,000 people following me who support me financially and support my events and my brand? Or do I have 1 million people following me who really just click on, scroll on my page just to look at me? And so people started to look at the value of their followers a little bit differently. And there's a fine line with that, right? Because a lot of times, most of our challenge is that we just have a traffic problem. You know, we post things, we're just not getting enough traffic to it. But the question is, what kind of traffic? And that's why I say, you all hear me say that we live in a data-driven world, because the data will tell you what type of traffic you're advertising or posting up into. Are you posting into the type of traffic that's going to support what it is that you're doing? Or are you posting in the type of traffic that's just scrolling by looking? And so you have to make that decision. So that's where you become strategic with advertising. And believe it or not, a lot of marketing and advertising, quote unquote, professionals don't even understand this. They don't even understand what I'm talking about. We spent hundreds of thousands of dollars at the surgery center in Maryland and for our clinics before we built the surgery centers and then the micro hospitals doing advertising. And I would sit down with, advertising groups, and I would talk to them about the behaviors of our patients or our quote unquote customer base. And I would explain those behaviors because I wanted them to place me in a medium or in a capacity where I could attract people with those types of behaviors. And then I also wanted to understand what the different behaviors of people were. And I will tell you that in most cases, most of these advertisers, these marketing people, they cannot tell you. And so I got to the point as a business person where I stopped relying on them for that data and for that information because I knew they couldn't tell me. And so I got to the point where I had studied the market so much in metropolitan DC that to this day, I still know the healthcare behaviors of the people in the different regions. I know what people from Southeast DC are going to respond to when it comes to a healthcare standpoint. I know what the people in Montgomery County are going to respond to. I know what the people in PG County are going to respond to. I know what the people in Northwest DC are going to respond to. And I studied it so much where I started to learn that. And I do the same thing today with my followers as it relates to my other brands. And so I would encourage each of us as business people that are on here to make sure that we know our customers. Make sure we know where our customers are coming from. If we post something and you get a sale or you get a certain amount of hits, then understand what that post is and where you're getting those customers from. I can tell you what videos I post and what if they got sales or if they didn't. I can tell you what people want to see. I learned something when I was doing Blog Talk Radio, in that I used to always interview guests. And there was a point where I didn't have guests and my hits and my ratings went way up. And then when I went on to Radio One and I was on WOL Radio, when I would have guests, I would not get that much traction. But when I would get on the radio and it was just me, or when I got in front of the camera and it was just me, I got a lot more traction. So I started to understand what people were looking for. I know what subjects people are interested in and what kind of things that they want. And then knowing how to put that in the mold that is my brand. And so these are important things. So pay attention to your customer responses. Get data when customers come into your store. Hey, where did you hear from us from? Because you get these marketing people and they will tell you, you need to take out ads on Facebook and Instagram and LinkedIn and Google. And you may find that none of these things are converting into dollars. What are they doing? Sometimes what I would find is certain advertising mediums or certain marketing methods would be education. And I'm just really getting the brand out there. For example, in healthcare, when you advertise and you put a lot of money into advertising in, say, Montgomery County, really all you're doing is paying for education, because people at a certain socioeconomic level, certain income level, certain socioeconomic level, I think is better. They're not going to go to a doctor that they see on television. But people in other socioeconomic circles will. Why? Because a lot of them have been disenfranchised and they're really tired and they're ready for that, that second, third, fourth opinion. These are just things that you have to know. And so you got to know that. Sandra D says, you have a great spirit, sister, and I'm using gratitude more. Oh, all praises due to Allah. Yes, gratitude, 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 gratitude. Look, whenever I get stressed, I use gratitude generally, but look, whenever I get stressed, I'm always about that gratitude. I look around, I will look on this desk. Right now, I need to straighten my desk up a little bit, but I will look on this desk and just sit here and go through and be grateful for every single thing that I see here, that I see around me, and just be grateful and take time and just be grateful. I'll pick up, if I got to pick up a thing of lip gloss and go, you know what, I'm grateful for this. And I'll remember where I got it and how I got it. And I'll just be grateful for every single little thing, all the way down to a mustard seed. So anyway, family, with that, listen, stop worrying about haters. Stop worshiping haters. Let them go on. Because let me tell you something. You cannot sit there and hate on people without having that energy come back on you. So don't engage in it. Don't even be a part of it. You have every right to say, I don't like a person. I don't want to work with a person. You can definitely do that. You have that right, but do it and move on. And let me say this one last thing to you, because a lot of you are saying that right now in the pandemic or after the pandemic, that a lot of people are asking you for money. And obviously, if you start just giving everybody money, then you won't have any. And I'm going to tell you a response that you can say to people. I just can't help in that manner right now. I'm not able to do that right now. And you have every right to be able to do that. And so if a person, let me just tell you this. I keep saying it's the last thing, but I'm just rolling around all of your questions and comments. And I said I don't want to go too deep into this, but let me say these two things. One, if you have somebody that you're in a so-called business relationship, personal relationship with, and somebody walks up to them and tells them something negative about you, and that person throws you away, then they were not your friend in the first place. If there's nobody that can walk up to me and tell me not to talk to my friend again if that person is really my friend. Now, if they tell me some disturbing news and I got to go to that person and talk to them about it, then I will do that. But trust me, there ain't nobody walking away from you that's really your friend or really your true business partner just because somebody said something to them. That means that they're on another level and they don't even know the meaning of a relationship or a true friend, because at the end of the day, everybody needs somebody to love them through something. And I believe everybody should have somebody that spoils them. So those of you writing me in the DM saying somebody said something about you and now this person don't want to talk to you, then that wasn't your friend in the first place. And so you need to just pick up your blessings and move on. And because it may very well be God's way of saying, don't mess with them. If somebody can easily do that. Okay. So, and don't you be that person either. Don't let somebody talk you away from your friend or away from your loved one or away from somebody that, you know, you're connected to. Don't let nobody do that. You make a decision. If you decide, hey, you know what, maybe they're a little too messy, or maybe I'm just not feeling that person, that's fine. But don't be that weak. And if they're that weak, you don't want that person in your life anyway, because you move into a higher level. You're out over your skis. You're in that space where your instructions and your guidance comes in the form of revelation. You don't need no weak person around you that somebody can just say one thing to and make them run away from you anyway. All right, family, peace and blessings. Make sure you all get registered for September 3rd. Make sure you get your commemorative Elijah coin. You see scrolling across the bottom here is SajdaHouseDonations.com. That's how you can donate to help us finish with the completion of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad House. So peace and blessings, family, and we'll see you all Saturday, inshallah, for the Sajda Saturday morning coffee talk. And thank you for being patient with me through my raspy voice, but I'm gonna go rest it right now. All right, peace and blessings.
You belong to yourself. You're an independent people, created from the nation of free people. Yes, sir. You don't need to go nowhere but to yourself. Yes, sir. There will be a great separation. Yes, sir. So I said, it is on now.
The college is meant to prepare you for your future. That the time dictates that if we don't do something for ourselves as a people, we will be destroyed. And the aim of the enemy right now is to take us out.
We have God with us. We have Him as our guide. Yes, sir. We don't have to stand around here and ask the question, what must be done? Yes, sir. Get up and let's go and do something. Yes, sir. We cannot sit down. We cannot lay down. Yes, sir. We must get up. Yes, sir. And go to work.
Do you know what real joy is in life? Visioning something and bringing it into reality. That's real joy. Do you know what the next step in joy is? Behold how good and how pleasant it is for brethren to dwell in unity.
Tonight, you need to fasten your seatbelts. We're going to hear from some of the greatest minds in the world. I don't know about you, but I'm tired of trusting our future and the future of our children into the hands of those who don't love us. I believe we need to revitalize black leadership.